The Boys is shown by Amazon in 2019, and it basically brings to life The Boys comics, and it has other spin-offs like Vought Rising and Gen V, which was cancelled unfortunately. But The Boys makes a very interesting point on superhero powers. I mean, Superman is always portrayed to be this good person, yet The Boys is a alternate version of Superman who does Homelander, who is so powerful, but the only thing he's ever done with it is cry, 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 moan, moan, moan. I don't think I can say the word, but you know, bitch, and it goes on and on with nothing to give. In today's vlog, we're going to be going about the medically inaccurate superpowers of The Boys and why they're so. And why, obviously, you can survive with your eyes shiny, or conduct electricity, or being transparent, or flying at supersonic speeds like, you know, that douchebag Homelander does. I pledge to Homelander. Just in case anyone's a Starlighter here, I'm not Starlighter. I'm a Homelander fan. True and true. Yes, bless him. Let's go. First off, Kimiko. She's an absolute unit. From season 1, starting as a little bush baby, to season 5, where she's so educated, so smart, loves pornography, talks a lot, yabs a lot, gives incredible advice. A lot can be said. Or you can shoot her, kill her, stab her, whatever you want to do to her, and 10 seconds later she's like, boom, back, like I was never gone. And on screen and even in comics, it sounds so easy. Yay, you just cut her in two, she grows. You cut her arm, she grows. Great origin story. I think we saw it in season 3, but as you guess, I'm a big fan. Is it really magically accurate? No. To continuously regenerate yourself at the rate that Kimiko does, you need to be eating at least 50,000 calories immediately after every fight. That is 50,000 calories of food, drink, everything you can eat like immediately after every fight. And you know that's impossible because in the show we don't hear eating that much. I mean, she's not bulimic, so no, she doesn't eat that much. So how does she get that much energy for herself to grow? Normally, when your cells do work, go through metabolism, they always release heat as a byproduct of whatever part of the cell cycle or ATP cycle generation, that's your citric acid cycle they're in or using, or glycolytic cycle, whatever energy cycle they're using essentially. Heat is always the byproduct of it. Normal, simple, right? Now, Kimiko is going through lots and lots of cell metabolism, lots and lots of cell generation per second just to grow back a little baby arm or a full arm in a matter of hours, so to speak. I eat food. Simple analogy. You eat food, I eat food. It takes about, say, 30-20 minutes, right, to finish your food. And you get hot, especially if the food is hot. And you stay hot and cool within the next 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the surrounding temperature, right? Now, Kimiko, say in a normal room temperature of 25 degrees C, she is going through rapid metabolism per second. The heat is so much, it should be able to fry her alive, fry the organs alive, but she's alive. How? Soldier Boy is the ultimate destruction weapon because he's practically indestructible, he doesn't age, his skin is impenetrable, he can practically take bullets to his mouth and nothing would happen to him. And the best part, he blasts radiation from his chest. I mean, if that's not cool, I don't know what is, but is he really blasting radiation from his chest? I mean, can anyone do that today? Like, is that medically possible? Well, let's examine and find out.
Hello, I'm Soldier Boy. The world knows who I am. Why do I...
Soldier Boy is a walking contradiction. I mean, his biology is just too simple to be complex, but let me break it down. Well, he's impenetrable, right? So I said he could not be killed by a bullet or anything sharp because basically his skin would just deflect it because, you know, he's that way. He's impenetrable, indestructible. But the problem with indestructible, impenetrable is that, well, what about the ripple effect? Ripple effect, simple, let me explain. Now you shoot a person, a normal person, non-destructible person, like me or someone else, let's say a dummy, with a gun to the head. And first off, if they're, by God's grace, just maybe had some titanium plates installed and protects their brain, whatever happened, it might not damage your brain and they may survive, but not without some injuries. Which type of injuries? With the brain. The brain may not be hit directly, but the bullets to pack slot force and slamming the head this way at such speeds would move the brain to hit one side of the plate, of the titanium plate installed. And that might cause some subdural hemorrhaging, a lot of tiny blood bleeding, and like external damage. And at the end of the day, you might just have some hydrocephalus, some tiny bleeding, but it depends on the bullet overall. But for a person like Soulja Boy, it still applies. Even though he's impenetrable, the ripple effect applies to his brain as well. Now for the next thing, this is the most obvious one. Radiation! Radiation blasting out of his chest. Now, radiation is the number one indicated risk factor for practically all types of carcinomas. Breast carcinomas, endometrial carcinomas, prostatic carcinomas, brain cancer, leukemia, any one you want to think about. Radiation is indicated somewhere there. Now imagine a person being able to shoot and blast off radiation off your chest. It is unfathomable, but somehow Vought wants us to believe that it is happening, it's real, and this person's name is Soulja Boy. Well, hey, if Soulja Boy doesn't get killed by cancer one day, I would just be grateful, because the amount of radiation blasting out of his body at such power, his cells would have to have mutated so much that they could practically withstand both the heat and the direct mutating effects of the radiation to be stable, because he's human, he doesn't look weird, doesn't look off. So his cells have to be stable cells, stable in the sense that even if they do get injured by the radiation, they replenish themselves so quickly, you practically don't even know they're gone in the first place. But is it medically accurate? Except you want to get yourself killed by putting a radiating device close to your heart, I would advise you don't try it. Not a starlighter here, but Starlight is awesome though. I mean, she is bioluminescent with the eyes. She can blast light out of her hands, out of, whatever place else she can blast light of. I don't know. She can fly. I think she can manipulate electromagnetic waves to some extent. I mean, we can see her, distorting electricity and stuff. But to some extent, I think she can do that. But her power is really compatible with life. I mean, that is the big $1 million question, because can one really be bioluminescent and not go blind, or blast such powerful rays of light from their hands and not be melted by the heat or the energy from there? But let's say we want to believe it. Well, for a normal human being, it is medically impossible. Let me explain why.
Of course, honey. Take this.
If you've ever been to secondary school, high school, junior high, whatever school you've ever been to, you probably have heard of Joule's law, right? I equals to I, V equals to IR rather, meaning voltage equals to current times resistance, right? It's a simple scientific law. Everybody should know it. Joule's law. Essentially, it just means that when current passes through anything, electrical current, passes through anything, there's going to be bound resistance. Resistance from causing the opposition to the flow of current. Simple, right? Now, bringing it back to Starlight. So Starlight generates electricity, right? She can generate it from whatever parts of her body she can generate it from. Simple. Now, assuming that her has no resistance that is substantially relevant to her cause, because she's bioluminescent anyways. But the object that she is opposing, that she's trying to, she flies, she breaks doors off the hinges, she blows people's eyes out. She does so much things with her powers. One of the scenes, the light was so bright, even I had to turn the TV down because I could not even see. Now, imagine working with that amount of energy right from your palm. You get it? Okay, you don't. Let me break it down even further. Resistance generates heat. That is the simple truth. Resistance generating heat. Now, if there's that large amount of current passing through something, it is obviously going to make sense that resistance is also going to be high. And high resistance means high heat. High heat means practically she could not even try to beam a light bulb without trying to fry herself from inside out. So, Starlight powers, I don't think we should even focus on the rest. Medically impossible.
It's your old uniform, but I'm saving it for the new one.
And not talk of Starlight's potential blindness in frying herself or whatever not she may do or not do. Back to my favorite The Voice character. Obviously, it's William Butchie, whatever you want to call him. I love the guy. He's crazy, he's psycho, he is the energy of the show. Played by Carl Urban, who obviously brings this life to this character that we love so much. Now, Homelander is, I don't think anyone loves Homelander, but he's what he is. But Butcher's character is unique because unlike the rest characters we've got so far, not that anybody, except for the first generation people, were born with, V or Vought powers. Everybody else kinda was injected. So just like Soldier Boy, or not really like Soldier Boy, but similar to Soldier Boy, Urban's character William Butcher, decides to inject himself with temporary V. And this was supposed to be a 24-hour thing, but we find out he has brain cancer because of it, and I think that was in season 3 or 4, and overall he progresses to be quite the pickle for Homelander because he is now strong, just like Homelander. He can now blast laser eyes, he can now bring out worms, he can now fly, he can now do a lot of things that he was not able to do before. And what are the medical implications of this, you may ask? Well, let's start with the simple one, laser eyes. Now, I wouldn't be bothering myself with doing for Homelander because I didn't like Homelander in the first place, and they basically have similar powers, so there's no point. So this will be my final one. Let's go.
Oi.
Now, laser eyes. Laser eyes. Now, I think the best notable scene, or the only scene so far we've seen Butcher use laser eyes, was in, really use laser eyes, was against Homelander, I think in the end of season 3, when Homelander was talking to his therapist who he murdered because he felt he was being manipulated. Okay, he lost about Homelander, but essentially, we see him really use it then. And eventually it came to Soldier Boy having to try to stop them from killing each other. But overall, what are the implications of laser eyes, not glowing eyes like in Starlight Case, where, she doesn't really glow, but hers is not really like a laser beam. It's more shining and bright like a bulb. But Butcher's and Homelander's eyes are like laser beams. They really flow through. Now, the problem with laser beams is that they come from the eyes. And this is the problem because there are 3 major organs in the body that are immunoprivileged, let me put it that way. They're separated from the other parts of the body. They are protected, so to speak. The brain, obviously, because it has its meninges, and it has its own little capsule in your cranium. The eyes, because it has all the sockets, and obviously it's the vitreous and mucous humor mainly. And the testes, obviously, because it's out of the body, has its own little opening and its own little covering. And that's why it's all, protected. Now for the eyes are like water balloons, let me put it that way. Water balloons because they are basically composed of, the major components of the eyes are just the vitreous and mucous humor. The rest parts are like insignificant tiny muscles, small amounts of fats, and the cells that for the light vision and all. But if a person was to be blasting laser streams of energy beams from their eyes, the heat from that high amount of intensity would practically burn through your eyes, burn through your optic nerves, and burn a hole into your brain. Like, it'll be instant death. So there is no practicality of logic in that. Second and third thing is, I'm just combining them, alright? Is the fact that there's CSF leaks. CSF is obviously cerebrospinal fluid, and it's the fluid that suspends your brain in your skull, essentially keeps your brain light. Now, then I believe in season 3, after he's taking temporary V, we see him leak out some greenish, bluish fluid from his nose, and I want to believe that is what they're trying to say is the CSF, but it's contaminated because normal CSF is clear or the less clean looking. So the fact that it's even green is already telling you there's something wrong. Now, a direct implication of that is that you cannot necessarily just wipe it up and be like, oh, it's gonna be okay. Obviously, they did try to tell us that, okay, this is like, he has brain cancer. But it's not just as simple as, oh, he has brain cancer. The more direct implications. You're having rhinorrhea, because that's what you call it. Leakage of CSF from the nose is called rhinorrhea. And you can't just wipe it off and go to bed and be like, oh, I'm good. No. You're going to probably have meningitis. It can be chemical, it could be bacterial, whatever type of meningitis you're having, it's already there. And obviously there's going to be encephalitis because with this low amount of CSF coming in, the brain is going to be heavier and heavier. And that would not be good for the brain cancer. As much of a fan of The Boys as I am, you definitely have watched all episodes all season. Although I'm yet to watch the animated show, The Boys Diabolical, but I have a good enough knowledge of some clips that have gone viral. Now, Homelander in The Boys, both the animated version and the actual live action version, even in the comics, is portrayed as this horrible, scary apex predator, top of the food chain guy who is so powerful that people are cowering at the mention of his name because they don't know if he's around, if he can hear them, if he can see them. They're always scared whenever his presence is around them. But underneath has tape, that bravado, that swag. There's a lot of things that don't really match for Homelander and his survival. I mean, we can say he's superhuman and all, but some stuff just don't match. It does not match at all. First, let's start with the most obvious. Homelander can fly, right? And that's good. That is like his most Superman trait. He can just burst into the air at supersonic speeds and keep changing direction however way he wants. He's that fast, that strong, that undefeated in the boys universe. And practically in lots of universes, I mean Superman too. But there is a problem with that. I mean, he can fly at supersonic speeds. That he's flying faster than the speed of sound. And the speed of sound is about what, 360 millimeters per second? Meters per second, right? Millimeters. So he's faster than that. So he probably can meet, I don't know what speed limit he could break, but he's way faster than sound. Now the problem with that is, for us to breathe in air, because I'm assuming Homelander needs air to breathe, because else I don't see why he's from Homelander if he's not even human at all, alright? But I'm assuming he needs air to breathe, right? At moving at speeds above sound, the oxygen will not even be entering your lungs. Like, the speed will just be too fast. No air is entering your lungs at that point. Like, have you tried? I mean, if you've watched movies where people fall skydive from the sky, you obviously see that there's at that atmosphere. There's just so little oxygen, and you're falling too fast. You're not able to even breathe in the oxygen, so you might be suffocating even in the abundance of air. All right, so that is the similar case with Homelander. You're moving at such speed, such supersonic speeds. The air is not entering your lungs the way it should, so you should suffocate. You should die. But in the series, we see it multiple times. Even in Gen V season 1 and when he, flies to guard you and, arrests the criminal for it. But, that's neither here nor there. But you get the point. Speed and breathing at that rate is just not compatible, but he does it. So something is definitely off, and that is not medically accurate at all. Now, something less obvious is the fact that he has superhuman hearing, just like Superman. Now, the problem with superhuman hearing is that you will probably hear or isolate a heartbeat, just like Marie Kid, from 1,000 people, from a city, from wherever you are, from this place in the world. Right? That's great, that's really good. But the problem is, if you're that sensitive, if your eardrums are that sensitive, meaning a tiny explosion close to you could probably set them off. But in the entire series, we see people shooting at him, killing, exploding stuff, and he still is alright. Now, if your eardrums exploded, for example, or, whatever reason, got damaged permanently, well, one of two things would happen, or maybe both would happen. One, you might get tinnitus, meaning a ringing sound in your ear which will never go away. Two, you might get vertigo. Vertigo means you lose your sense of direction. So it's not, the stones in your ear also help to keep the maintenance of direction. Gravity is down, everything is up. So if those are destroyed, then you don't know which is up, which is down, because you'll just be spinning in circles, spinning upside down, unable to stand erect. Now, those never happened to Homelander, so that does not make sense, because if his eardrums are that sensitive and he could practically hear a heartbeat and then see X-ray vision and all. Well, X-ray vision is a second video, or it's the next topic. He would probably be deaf by now, but he's not, so that tells you something. The coolest factor for me is X-ray vision. I know I was a kid once and I was like, I wish I had X-ray vision so I could just see. I don't want to say whatever I wanted to see, but I think we've all been there at some point, not to be weird. But it is a problem, like really. Imagine your normal X-rays in radiology labs. These are both emitters and transmitters of radiation. So they reflect, or they give off, and they reflect it so they can give a good image of what you're looking at. Now, Homelander's eyes, in that same scenario, are emitters and reflectors or rather emitters and receivers of radiation, right? So they give out X-ray, they receive X-ray. But for them to do that, it would mean that the retinas have to be lined with lead. And we both know that the human eye is not lined with lead. It has its rods and cones, and even those are not strong enough to do anything from radiation. Moreover, the human eye is adapted for visible light, which is a path or a wavelength in the light spectrum that X-ray is a bit smaller than, so we can't really see that. Now, other than that, if Homelander were to be a walking X-ray emitter and receiver, that's a problem, because even though X-rays cannot really penetrate through the body like that, I mean, as compared to beta and alpha rays and gamma rays and all that, X-rays have lesser ionizing power or lesser penetrating power, but still, if a person like Homelander is continuously beaming this radiological hazard at other people, then there's risk of carcinoma for everybody in the boys, everybody in the Seven, everybody around the Vought Empire who may have been in contact or around Homelander at any time. You know, so even he in the show hasn't gotten any cancers or carcinomas or tumors, and nobody else, I mean, apart from obviously Huber's dad and, you know, Butcher, which we know that has nothing to do with Butcher, but you get the point. So if none of that carcinoma has afforded anybody in the show due to Homelander's vision, then that is already saying that something is off, because medically that is not possible. So yeah. My favorite superhero, no one's asking for this, definitely has to go to Butcher, because even though he's not a superhero, he's more like a sacrificial hero. I mean, he does the job, but you gotta hate him or you gotta like him, but he always gets the job done. It doesn't mean he's always right, but it means that he aspires to do the best that he can, to the best of his abilities. I mean, that's what we want to do. I mean, he has his good days, his bad days, but I love the boys. You should too. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I've really been busy. I have tests coming up, so please give me your thoughts and pray for me, whatever. But toodles, bye.